Want to thank Ravi Sichuran for that. To our online viewers, bear with us. Good night again to everyone. I want to hear you loud. I want to hear who we voting for in 2025. The man outside ready. Who we voting for in 2025? Who we voting for? Nice. We're voting for the Progressive Empowerment Party. Coming next, y'all have been waiting for it, I think. The only... Want to thank Ravi Sichuran for that. To our online viewers, bear with us. Good night again to everyone. I want to hear you loud. I want to hear who we voting for in 2025. The man outside ready. Who we voting for in 2025? Who we voting for? Nice. We're voting for the Progressive Empowerment Party. Coming next, y'all have been waiting for it, I think. The only political leader to ever step foot in Trinidad and Tobago and really willing to make a change. He's dynamic. He's one of a kind, and I'll invite each and every one of you to stand in welcoming the political leader of the Progressive Empowerment Party and the next Prime Minister to the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, Philip Edward Alexander.
Good night, everybody. Thank you all for coming out. Thank you all for waiting. Thank you, Marissa. We're opening. This is the Oropouche East office here. We're opening tonight. Give Marissa a round of applause for that. Marissa is one of those firebrands that you will hear about. People don't take up the role of shadow MP in a party like the Progressive Empowerment Party of faint heart. This is not people who are looking for a hustle and looking for a walk and looking for a link up. Plenty of those other political parties that you hear forming by the day, by the week, the alphabet soup of other little parties that have no structure. When you see the Progressive Empowerment Party comes to your community, we come to your community with a representative for you. We've been working the ground. We've been working the ground harder than any other political party, harder than the government, harder than the opposition. This, Philip will fix it. We didn't make this up. People were telling one another, calling my phone, don't stop. Anybody who's around me, they're accustomed to hearing this. Here's what they're accustomed to hearing. Hello? Yes? Yes. Okay, let me interrupt you. Type it up as a WhatsApp and send it to this number. They're accustomed to hearing that because everybody is calling my number and they're telling one another because they call on the other and saying, I got your number from a friend. Today, last night, a woman messaged Sahai De Silva, who handles our fundraising team. And she messaged Sahai De Silva and said, my community hasn't had water for 36 days. And Sahai sent that to me. And I sent it to my people in Wassa. And he said, check now. And she said, wow, we have water. Great. Round of applause. Sahai told her, now join. She said, but I'm scared. She said, make a donation. Well, things hard. And what Trinidadians missing, and this is important, our country has not done this to us. We've done this to our country. We have voted race, foolishly believing, like the British, who needed to divide us to rule us. That's the only reason Afro-Indo politics exists in Trinidad, you know. I am the person who told Trinidad and Tobago that there is no other location on planet Earth where the grandchildren of India and the grandchildren of Africa have a problem with each other. Nowhere else. The man who is now the first Hindu East Indian Prime Minister of Great Britain come from South Africa. Understand what I'm saying? Mohandas Gandhi, who we call the Mahatma, when he became a lawyer and he wanted to be an activist, he didn't go to India. his first activism was fighting apartheid in South Africa. Many people don't know that. That made him an activist. Because his brown skin, the racists didn't see his brown skin as Indian and take a pass. It's only African we don't like. They beat him and kicked him up. And when he went to the police grabbed him by the scruff of his neck and pressed his face into the ground and called the white man who beat him and asked him, did he dirty your shoe with his face? Trinidad and Tobago is the inheritor of two of the richest races on the planet. Africa and India account for almost a third of all the people who live in the world. Both of those continents, India's a subcontinent, I know. And Pakistan and India exist for the same reason African and Indian fighting in Trinidad. Because for a tiny little island of white people off the coast of Europe, England, for them to be able to rule people like us, they had to break us apart. They had to put us at each other's throats so that they could loot us, enslave us, work us to the bone, take everything we own. When the Queen made her throne speech, the last speech she made, on sitting on a solid gold piano, England don't have gold. Let's be real. And I want to tell you so you understand. We need to stop being colonized in our minds. Trinidadians and Tobagonians are fighting a battle that does not exist. We are fighting a war with people who are not fighting a war with us. You cannot find a single person who could tell you why the grandchildren of Africa and the grandchildren of India have a problem with each other in this country. You can't find one person. Because all we know is, well, that's what mommy and daddy do. And what mommy and daddy did was live under the sufferation of imperial colonialism rule. That's what they went through. That's what they went through. When you hear terms like rum drinking Indian, you must know Tate and Lyle wanted to pay East Indians with rum. You must know your history. You must know where all of these slurs come from. And you must think to yourself that it is not too late to join with my brother who is a Trinidadian like me. He could be black, he could be white, he could be Syrian, he could be Chinese, he could be Indian. If his birth certificate says Trinidadian or Tobagonian, he is my brother. And the day we get that, in our belly, because you see, you need to know this. Doubles and roti and pilau and shack and bake don't discriminate. Those things don't discriminate in your tummy. Well, unless you buy it from the wrong person. But generally, and what I'm saying is, our cultures of all of our racist cultures meld and blend. We talk these things. The advertising agencies talk to you about the Ganges meeting in Nile. I want to find a word that I can't use the word that's normally used. To confuse you. To make you believe that the Ganges and the Nile somehow don't naturally meet. In Trinidad and Tobago, brown skin and black skin create something called Douglas. Beautiful people. Red people. Mixed people. We are a beautiful people. But people like Eric Williams, sorry, I feel hot. People like Eric Williams and people from the PNM who realized when they came to office, because I want to believe Eric Williams had a good intention, you know. I want to believe my son, his grandfather's brother was Taj Mahal Hussain. These people stood together in Marlborough House in England and wrote the Constitution of Trinidad and Tobago. I have made it my responsibility to learn my history, So when I come to you knowing where we come from to get to where we are, so we could understand where we need to go. It is why there is an E in PEP. That word empowerment. That word empowerment is important. 12 hours straight of the criminal wrongdoing of both of those parties, I could give you everything that every sycophantic troll and supporter will tell you in defense of why their government do it, because their government do it, and lesser evil, and who thief more and who thief less. And all I want to ask them is, don't you think that you deserve better? These people robbed your family. They took food out your mother's mouth. They humiliated and hurt your father. They sent skin and face and hair that look like you to rob you. That's what they did. And until you're ready to face the source of the infection, you could never fix it. I am not the NTA or the Patriotic Front or Congress of the People or MSJ. I lead right now the fastest growing political party in this country, the Progressive Empowerment Party. We have more structure on the ground than all those parties combined. We're not looking for names and faces and lawyers and people who could say that they talk to you about this and they could do that. As Ravi was just saying, and he didn't say it forcefully enough, in a Progressive Empowerment Party government, a member of parliament could never be a minister. A member of parliament's job is a serious job. One that must be done full time, extra time, overtime. If Marissa is successful in becoming the next member of parliament for Oropouche East, under a Progressive Empowerment Party government, every community in this constituency, every street, every hill, every valley, every drain, every road, that's her business. She is supposed to know what working and what not working. And what working, we make it better. And what not working, we fix it. That's our slogan right up to the election. If you stand behind Marissa, she will fix it. I want to be clear. When people tell me, all you had to link up to take out the PNM, I want to tell them, I in this too long. We link up to take out the UNC with this PNM, and we link up with that UNC to take out the PNM, and we link up with that PNM to take out the UNC. You see them words link up? Miss me with that, eh? Miss me with the linking up. It is time that somebody gives all the people of this country a united political party set on fire for one thing, to fix all of it. That's our mission. The E in Progressive Empowerment Party. We've said from the moment we started, our mission is to inform, educate, and empower. Out of the mouths of every other politician, go on their walls and see. You will see them ending little videos with "Stay safe, Trinidad and Tobago." You know they're listening. You know they're listening. Everybody's in church. Everybody's in school. When Philip Alexander doing a live video today with pen and paper taking notes, I asked Rowley, I say, I have all your manifestos. I have Vision 2020, I have Vision 2030. And some of the things you're talking about now, not in none of them documents. Not you, not Manning, not Malcolm Jones, not Franklin Kahn, not Lockjack. None of all you could have come up with it. But all you want to plagiarize and thief it from the Progressive Empowerment Party. Isn't that just too funny? All of the politicians and all of the political parties in this country want to sound relevant. So they're talking things like pep. They want to say it like us. They want to sound like the way we speak. We speak with courage. We speak with conviction. We are a political movement that are here to represent people. When people call me from anywhere, I don't ask, where's your race? Where's your religion? Where's your blood type? I don't ask them questions. We go everywhere. We touch everything. We fix whatever we could fix. There is a reason a member of parliament must never be a government minister. I'll tell you why. There are things in the operation of a country. Kamala, Keith, take out all your pen and paper. There are Gary, Michaela, Abdullah, start taking notes. There are two things in the operation of a country that is government's business: macro and micro. Micro is you, how it affects you. Macro is how it affects everybody. Government's job is to secure the nation and end the drug trade. End it. Every commissioner of police has told us in the past couple months, we've heard all of them, past, present, and who want to be future, telling us that besides the boats that they're not securing the borders, besides that, most of the guns and the drugs and the contraband US that they're laundering through our government ministries and contracts, we'll get to that in a little bit, comes through legitimate ports. That means the last 3 commissioners of police have said that the controller of customs and excise and all of his employees have failed. And not one person has called for the resignation of the head of customs. Tonight, I am asking for the controller of customs to be fired, and that for somebody to be hired with one understanding, that customs' job is to secure the door. That is your job. Fire the controller of customs and excise tomorrow and put police officers to work there too. When I told Gregory Aboud of Doma that every container coming off the port must be opened, don't tell me about scanner. I don't want to see through the metal. I want to see for myself. I want to see what inside the tires, what inside the washing machine, what cut out inside the plywood. I want to see what passing as parts and car parts, where all the gun barrel and gun stock come in. I want to show you, I want to tell Trinidad and Tobago, it is not for a lack of information we're not running this country properly. It is control of the media. There is only one politician whose voice is blocked on TV6, Synergy TV, and CNC3. Guess why? Because they're not in the business of truth. If you stick Gary Griffith enough, he will squeal out truth. He was a minister of national security, and he was a commissioner of police. So when I press him, he just talk more. You know, he like to talk. And when he talk, he just tell you a thing that he not saying in public yet. That the government is corrupt and has enabled the drug trade and the gun trade in Trinidad and Tobago. So when the Ministry of National Security convenes the National Security Council, himself to himself, when they are doing nothing. I remember when Fitzgerald Hines was made Minister of National Security. That morning that he had that first press conference, I was talking to Stefan Rees on the phone. I said, listening to this man? I said, hearing what he's saying? This is the last press conference they're going to let him have. This man inadvertently telling the people the truth. That's short young lie. That is not that we can't secure the borders, it's that we're not securing the borders. I have a friend, Reginald McLean, who'll show you when Coleman, Keith, and Stewart and all the rest of them go and buy the big boats from Austal and all the other companies that they deal with all around the world, China and Australia, to buy boats and tell you this one will solve it and that one will solve it. Bring it down and park it in Hartscott in Chagaramas. As if all the drugs and guns come in through Hartscott in Chagaramas. Because they park up there 24/7. We have small boats, medium boats, and at least one large boat, and all of them securing nothing. I apologize. All of them securing nothing. Why is that? Why is that? I want to ask Trinidad and Tobago, is it that these office holders are incompetent, or are they complicit? And both of those are reasons to fire all. And the people of Trinidad and Tobago have all of the responsibility, all of the authority. Everybody from the President of the Republic stands on you. The Constitution first recognizes you and your rights as owners of this country. And every office holder serves you. When was the last time you felt served by a public office holder? When was the last time you walked into something public and felt like it was set up to serve you? When was the last time an officer of the state of any kind addressed you with the respect that you deserve as the person whose long labors and hard work pays their salary and feeds their children? When was the last time you felt respected by the state, served by public servants? You don't. You don't, because they have you so busy fighting a race war that don't exist. They could do you anything they want. On a macro level, the government is responsible to secure the borders of Trinidad and Tobago. When Stuart Young said that we can't secure the borders, I exposed him as a liar and a fool. And my friend, who is responsible for guarding the coast of Manhattan Island, where 8.8 million people live in New York City, he sent me video. He said, expose that fool and show them how you secure an island. Because you can't drive up or motor up in your yacht, no matter how big or small, to Manhattan Island without engaging in conversation. You have to get permission to come past the 3 Mile line. If you come past the 3 Mile line without permission, they will give you one warning. One. After that, they will sink you. Then I'm trying to board you, you know. If you do not stop, they will sink you. Now, if Trinidad had a government that understood that there are things like sonar buoys. Sonar buoys are deployed 3 miles out at sea, 4 miles out at sea, wherever you want to put them. And you put them in a ring interconnected around the country. They will ring an alarm automatically every time somebody passes above, below, or between. So we would know something is coming. There are unmanned aerial drones. There are people who sit in the middle of America and blow up targets in the Middle East with a joystick like they play in a video game. You don't even need to put Coast Guard men at risk. You could control and secure the nation's borders, the nation state of Trinidad and Tobago. You could secure the borders of Trinidad and Tobago from Iceland. You could secure it from Greenland, from Ukraine. You don't have to be there physically. So when Fitzgerald Hines said we don't do it, and Stuart Young said we don't know how to do it, that is reason to fire both. And Trinidadians don't understand because we're still talking lesser evil politics, like if PNM and UNC are the only options we will ever have. They should never have been. People have been ringing the bell for years, and we've ruined their lives and ruined their careers and victimized them. We let some be murdered. Gene Miles, Selwyn Richardson, Dana Sitahal. These people put themselves to risk for us and they made the biggest sacrifice a human could make for their country, and we've not stood up for them. And it is time we, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, unite so that no more of our people must die for telling the truth. No more. We must get to a place where our politics is about auditioning for the job to serve. That's it. You know why 3 prime ministers was fired in quick succession in England? Because if you break your promise, or if you lie, or if you don't do what you were hired to do, you'll be fired. We need to do that. We all making jokes on Facebook about the 800 million that Keith Rowley just said that he spent for 2,500 cameras that work out to be $32,000 per camera. A $32,000 camera will see Mars. What did Keith buy? Or did Keith and his friends thief the money? Did they thief the money? Let's be real. Who do I go to investigate the prime minister when I think the prime minister just stole that money? Who do I go to when I understand that the current Attorney General is covering for the last Attorney General and both of them should be disbarred and one of them at least should be in jail? Who do I go to? Paula May Wicks? Who do I go? I'm not that good at hide and seek. Who is the next person to find? Because finding Paula May, you know it hard. Who do I go to? Who do I go to? Who do I go to get the law, the justice system? Who do I go to? Because we have cases. I tell people, my son was 25 years old when a case was concluded in Trinidad where somebody who broke into Stevens and Johnson's was finally convicted. In my son's 25 years, there was no longer ever a Stevens and Johnson's in Trinidad and Tobago. But the case was still running. Understand that. Lorena Lucian, one of the first members of the Progressive Empowerment Party, her sister, when she was a minor, went to a police station to make a report and was raped by the ranking officer in the station. It took 17 years. 17 years. Who do I talk to about the fact that the justice system shouldn't take 17 years for a case where that's the victim, that's the person responsible, there's the piece of sponge? When again? What did the courts need again? There are two former, one current, one former senior office holders in this country. One accused the other of bribing him with the job. They have a third former senior officer who has information for that. And that's going on since 2014, 8 years now. If you have three people and the conversations about what each of them know, what takes 8 years? What? What takes 8 years? So when you think about all those little children, all those people who are languishing in prison for sticker weed and for crime, let's be honest, petty crime, they committed crime. But they've been in jail longer than they could have been if you had convicted them and given them the harshest sentence. They'd be out already. They're still inside of there, trapped by poverty, trapped that they can't afford a judge. I'm sorry, a lawyer. That was an actual mistake. That they can't afford a lawyer or bail. Now in this country, the director of public prosecutions, according to the Constitution, could join himself to any matter and vacate it. That means the director of public prosecutions could tell the commissioner of prisons, bring all of these people to the court. Because all you have to do is do a stock check of all the people who are in prison, what they're there for. Remand. Not those convicted. Those who are remand. Anybody who are there for blood crimes, murder, rape, treason, keep them. Bring the rest. How long have you been in jail? If you are there longer than the longest sentence, I will discontinue the matter. What we are doing in our jails is a human rights atrocity. The last time a country did that, the world went to war. We do not care about black and brown skin in Trinidad and Tobago. We do not. Let's be real. We do not care about people. We've never had a government that loved people enough to take care of that. They're going to tell about the Section 34. And that they wrote a law called Section 34. And Section 34 was supposed to do that. And Herbert Volney and Fuad Khan explained all of it to me. And you know what I'm willing to do? I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt. I just want to know, why did you run back to the parliament when you found out that certain criminal, white-collar criminals were going to benefit? Why didn't you go back to the parliament and adjust it and enter that schedule that they said was missing so that it didn't allow them to slip through and deal with all the other people who languish in jail? No. You went in the parliament and you canceled the whole law out of spite. So nobody benefit. Nobody benefit. And I'm saying to Trinidad and Tobago, we allow these things. There is every likelihood that if this house catches a fire, God forbid, cancel and rebuke it, and we call for a fire engine, there is 1 in 3 chances that there is no fire engine in close proximity. The head of the Fire Service Association admitted publicly that 1 in every 3 firehouses, fire stations, have no fire engines. None. That is why so many people die in this country from fire, from being trapped in a house that's on fire. In first world countries, the radius of service for fire and ambulance is dictated. Actuarians get involved and say, this is what you could expect, this is what you could forecast, this is what you could predict, overlap, and make sure that you prepare to provide for that. Trinidad and Tobago has nothing like that. Woodbrook have no fire station, have no fire ambulance appliances, no ambulance. I stood on this, I have videotaped so many people in crisis on the side of roads waiting on an ambulance that take 20, 25, 30 minutes, and that's good if they get there in 30 minutes. They almost fired Bloomberg in New York City because the ambulances were taking 10 minutes, and that's too long. There's a magic golden hour that paramedics tell you and doctors tell you that for stroke and poison and heart attack and these things, you need to get the people into a facility where they could be treated before the thing become fatal. We don't treat our people with love. We don't treat them like we care. We've never had a government that planned its policies on how much they care about you. We've only had governments that stole our money. I am the one that told Trinidad and Tobago that this is a rainforest climate. Trinidad could never want for water. And while I am talking to you, people are going to scoff and laugh, because from Diego Martin to Barrackport, there are people on no water tonight. And they break a pipe in Cocorit that was delivering water to Westmore in some Caroni. It's like we have mad drunk monkeys running our public utilities. Diego Martin is one of the wettest places in Trinidad. Diego Martin, in the dry season, does have rain, always. And if we had retention ponds and retention facilities in Diego Martin would be able to take care of at least 5 constituencies from Diego Martin West to Barataria. It could provide water, but we don't. You know what we do? Go up on the hill when the rain falls and watch as the water washes the topsoil into the ocean. But we're doing that so that the people who have investment in Desalcott could make money. It's always about greed. Trinidad should never have had 1 company manufacturing water tanks. We have 5. 5. We make more water tanks per capita than any country in the world. Future politician, you know. She's go anywhere going. She want to be anything. And she's give out these things to people walking past by car. Excuse me. On a macro level, things like water, things like roads. And let me finish the water. The Progressive Empowerment Party policy in this is simple. It's called capture, hold, treat, distribute. Now, I want to take credit for it. But the Babylonians and the Persians and the Romans were doing it thousands of years ago. So we didn't invent it. But it's like we have drunken monkeys running this country. Because we capture the bounty of free rain we get and throw it in the sea. And then pay Desalcott $500 million every year to desalinate the same water we just throw in the sea. Now tell me if we are stupid. That's stupid. It's a stupid country. We're stupid. We're throwing away the candy and keeping the wrapper. That's us. That's Trinidad. Do you know what $500 million is? $500 million. $1 million could deliver a massive retention pond. $1 million. $1 million. A water tank 1,000 gallons is $2,500. You could build 30,000 gallon water tanks. In where the Progressive Empowerment Party headquarters is, there are 2 3-story tanks standing that hold 15,000 gallons each. That's 30,000 gallons right there. And if you dig a hole in the ground and sink them 3 stories down, they take up no space. And if they're empty and rainfall, the first 30,000 gallons will collect in there. So we will capture the water and end the flood. $500 million every year could have built 500 retention ponds. We've had 10,000 retention ponds spent. 10,000. 10,000 retention ponds is more cubic capacity of water than all of the reservoirs in Trinidad combined. When we pay the Salcott for desalinated water, kissing that money goodbye. If we spent that money building retention facilities for the water that we get underground, I didn't invent that. Go to Japan. Japan just did that. Go to Boston. Go to England. I didn't invent this. Home Construction Limited that built Long Circular Mall understood this. When you go to Long Circular Mall, the front corner of the mall where Long Circular Road meet the other side street, that road there, you'll see a little hut up on the top. That's the door to go into the retention pond, the underground well. I didn't invent this. I just telling you that it exists. But we have drunken monkeys in government. Stupid, clueless, incompetent fools. When you see the roads collapse in Trinidad, we did national security, we did water, talk roads. When you watch the roads that collapse, because what you're seeing is not just potholes, you're seeing roads collapse. They're gone. The reason they are going, I want to tell you something. There is something called the Aztec Highway. From Argentina is reached Canada. The Aztecs built it. It's still there. The Americans came to this country 80 years ago and built, here the roads there, so you can know, Wallafield, North Coast, Chagaramas. Those roads stand up like Britain. Every other road in this country collapsed. Why? Why? Because they used technology, 80-year-old technology, to do something that the Persians and the Babylonians and the Mesopotamians were doing, the Romans. When they said all roads lead to Rome, do you know why the width of a train's tracks are the width of those tracks? The width of a train's tracks is the width of Caesar's chariot. And Caesar's chariot was the width of Romans' roads. So when they came to put down train tracks all over the world, they ran train tracks on Roman roads and set the train lines to fit the width of Caesar's chariot. And those roads still exist because they understand how to put foundation and then you cover. A foundation. When you look at the roads that collapse, what you see is a layer of pitch and gravel on soil. So when the water gets under, because we're running the pipes inside of there, so the cars running on the pipes and the trucks running on the pipes eventually break the pipes and they leak and they wash out the soil underneath the road, and then it's just the layer of pitch and that collapse and the road gone. That's what's happening to our roads. We have governments who don't understand that when you're building a road, come to West Moorings, across from West Mall, the Tanti 1% flyover that they're building, come and see what Junior Sammy and the Chinese people building there, and you'll understand what I'm saying. A road needs retaining walls to hold the material together for the run of the road. And it needs a layer, a foundation layer of stone or some other big aggregate. But you don't see when WASA come to dig up the road, you don't see them having to move slabs. You don't see them having to move boulders because we don't use that. We use dirt and pitch. So the road don't last 5 years. Why? Is it they're incompetent or they're very smart? That if I build a road that has planned obsolescence, that in a certain amount of short time will collapse, I'll get another contract. That's the whole idea. We build our roads deliberately to fail. Understand? And then they leave it to frustrate you to the point where you will say, boy, I don't care how much it costs to fix, just fix it. Apps. Catch him. Like shock doctrine. Mash up your car until they say, but I don't care, no. I don't care, wait, don't tell me nothing, let them fix it. That's how they thief our money. We didn't lose this $3 trillion by misplacing it, you know. They stole it one contract at a time. On a micro level, what is important to you as a citizen, because they need to take care of the macro. They need to take care of the roads, the water, and the security. If they take care of those things, on a micro level, they need to make sure that you have jobs. Every single citizen in this country who need a job should be able to get a job on a proper paying job, not just twirling a baton. We have 50,000 security guards in this country. That is 5% of the population are security guards. What are we securing, so? What are we securing? Ask the government, their big shots friends, 1% friends, who they're giving massive security contracts to drive around this country in fancy vehicles, doing what God alone knows. They're so bored, they have nothing to do, they send them the cut-down cable. 50,000 security guards. That is not a sustainable job. That is not a job, and I am apologizing to the security guards who are doing it now. But I want to tell you something. That is not a career. Nobody wants a career for minimum wage and exploitation, because that's what's happening to our security guards. They're paying them minimum wage and then exploiting them. Nobody wants that job, to put themselves in danger for every little bandit to come and kill you. You know security guards, you tell them you could get more than minimum wage if you precept, they don't want it. Because they're afraid the gun. Because bandits come in to kill you for the gun. So a security guard with a gun is now a target in Trinidad and Tobago. Yeah, you understand that? You rent a gun, you kill a guard, you get a new gun. That's a growth industry. Trinidad and Tobago, that is insanity and the madness. Not security guards, not packing French fries. Why do we have more KFCs in Trinidad than anywhere else in the world? Somebody said this generation, the boys could cook like the mother and the girls could drink like the father. You can vouch for that. I hope your wife not here, she will beat you. I ain't getting in between. But let's talk on the micro level. Jobs. Philip, what would you do to create more jobs? You need a vision for the country. If you ask Keith Rowley, Kamla Prasad Bisessa, Faris Alrawi, Anand Ramlogan, Stuart Young, Rudal Monilal, Paula May Weeks, if you ask any of the 150,000 mayor and corporation chairpeople and councillors who don't do fat all for the money that they're getting paid, if you ask them, what is Trinidad and Tobago? What do we do? None of them know. When we inherited Trinidad and Tobago, we were an agro economy. We were a net food exporter up to the 70s. Trinidad and Tobago, sugar. We were a major supplier of sugar to the World War effort. Plenty of people don't know that. That's what Trinidad was important for. Sugar and pitch for the war. We were well known as suppliers to that. We took over Tate and Lyle business. Like when we took over all of the oil companies and merged them into Petrotrin. Somebody sent me a thing, he used to work there. He said, when I was a little boy boss, it's like they used to cut the grass around Petrotrin with a scissors. He said the place was manicured like they comb it. Everything that's supposed to be straight, and what's supposed to be leaning. We took Petrotrin and destroyed it. We have the largest deposit of pitch in the world, and we don't know how much we have. We don't know how much it is sold for. We don't know who owns it. Pitch is not the business that we do. When they found the Orion Lagoon in Venezuela, during the search for salt, they found pitch in Trinidad. They were looking for salt because the countries that had salt went to war with each other in Europe, and salt was king at a time when salt was important for preserving food. And they had to find more salt. They found pitch, and our pitch was used to secure the planks that make up the ships. That's what we were famous for a while. For a long time, Tobago was important for cocoa. Trinidad was a place they used to drop convicts. Maybe that's why we are what we are. Trinidad, they used to drop convicts and take pitch. That's what Trinidad was. But we still have that pitch lake. It's like a blessing from God. This is what Trinidad has that no other country in the world has. That pitch lake. Because other people have pitch, but nobody have that volume of pitch. If Saudi Arabia had that volume of pitch, the princess would be richer. In Trinidad, we just let them thief it. It paving Belt and Road for China, but we ain't getting the money for it. Somebody getting the money. Somebody in Trinidad cashing a check. But it is not the people of Trinidad and Tobago, because not one single minister of finance has ever added in the budget our proceeds from pitch this year. We don't know. And that is wrong. And as long as you play any mini, more with governments who do not want to fix it, you will never know. You will continue to be slaves and exploited in your own land. And this is all I am saying to Trinidad and Tobago. The nylon pool in Tobago. If any other tourist destination in the world had a nylon pool, it would be on HBO. They'll be talking about it. It's a pool in the middle of the ocean. Nowhere else have that. The largest brain coral on the planet, us. Boko Reef. You know what we're doing to Boko Reef? We're destroying Boko Reef with the glass bottom boats that making money off Boko Reef, going out there and dropping the anchor and dragging the anchor across the reef and destroying the reef. And there have been floating jetties in this world for millennia. For millennia. In India, there was a famous bridge that floated from one side of the continent to another. You could walk for miles on a floating bridge, floating in the sea. So they've known, we know the technology exists, but we don't want to use it. In Trinidad, I have an uncle who tell me, now we have children here, but we don't respect nothing. We don't respect nothing. The law that protects Yellowstone Park in America was protecting our forest first in Tobago, one of the oldest old-growth forests on the planet. We let them burn it down. We burn down the water wheel, the sugar estates. We destroy everything. Look at our country. Look at what we were blessed with by God. The only tourist destination outside of the hurricane belt. Shouldn't we be the biggest? Shouldn't we be the biggest? Barbados, who only have tourism, their dollar is 2-to-1 with America. We've exported from sugar to oil to gas for all of our existence, yet ours is 7-to-1. Make that make sense. Somebody thief in there. You have a US dollar in your pocket, you have to sell it to the bank, it's 6-to-1. You have to buy it back from the bank, it's 6.77. Somebody thief in there. You put your money in the bank today, and you come back in 6 months, your money gone for fees. What's the fees? You have to water it. You have to feed it. What are you doing the money? It's a line item. Account balance. That's it. But the government does not care about you. Greed has destroyed Trinidad and Tobago, where love and compassion should have been the order of the day. Where the people, when you talk about people who have ruled countries, when people talk about Lee Kuan Yew, they talk about a man who had a vision to pull Singapore from being the prostitution and drug capital of the Far East and made it a first world developed country whose economy just eclipsed the United States of America. A country 1/3 the size of Trinidad. We are 3 times bigger than Singapore. So it's not about size. It's about government and leadership. The head of Dubai told people, he was talking to somebody in Nigeria, he said, it have nothing to do with the oil in the ground, it have to do with what you do with the money you get from it. We got the oil out of the ground and let people steal it. That's our legacy, all of it. On a micro level, the government is responsible to you that every single citizen in this country who is of working age and wants a job should be able to get a job. Companies should be competing for you. They should have more jobs than people. There should be companies saying, if you come and take some classes in the night and we'll train you, you will elevate from security guard to chip presser for the telephone company, and you'll move from minimum wage to $30 an hour. You see, Bova Bitam Lavantel Silots, that is a lot of human resource that's suffering. You see, Cocorit, Rich Plain, Mason, Edinburgh 500, build your commercial zones where there are people. Give foreign companies free land, free natural gas. We're burning it off and throwing it away. Give it to them free. Get them free Wi-Fi. That don't cost us nothing. And let them come and build businesses in this country that is labor intensive. So people would have opportunities to develop themselves. This current generation that people tell you that can't be educated, I am telling you they could. This is how it works in the world. But jobs, anybody who wants a job should be able to get a job. Anybody who have a job and want to own a home should own a home. But the HDC is a crime scene. And the government uses the HDC to thief money twice. There's thief money giving contracts to build houses at prices far beyond the value of what they're building. And then they thief that money when they sell it to you. They thief it twice. Poor people pay the subsidy for a place called Victoria Keys in Diego Martin where 1% people live in. But taxpayers' money pay to build that. Trinidadians need to understand that housing is not a magic, it's not a mystery, it's not a miracle. We have 8 billion people on the planet. We've been doing housing for a long time. We understand how it works. And the Progressive Empowerment Party says HDC, nothing. Create an ability for anybody who have a job to qualify. Once you have a job, you could qualify for a loan. 0 deposit, 0 interest, up to $1.5 million for first-time homeowners. That will generate construction of 100,000 houses in this country, put all of our construction people to work, drive the price of house down, everybody happy. Building your own house, buying your own house. Going to the market and say, listen, I went to a meeting, they tell me I have a job as a security guard, my wife is a seamstress, between us we qualify for 1.75 million. I see you selling, look the paper here, I see you selling this house for 1.85 million, we like it, but this is what we have. You taking it? Yes? Look the paper, let me do some business. That's why you run a country. Not come to the HDC, close the door and take off your clothes. That's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. Put yourself on a list. Do a favor. I remember listening to Marlene McDonald when she opened some Fort George apartments. And she tell them, remember to vote PNM. They should have jailed her for that. They're jailing her for other things. No, but they should have jailed her for that. That is corruption. You cannot use taxpayers' dollars to benefit politically. That's corruption. That is a criminal act. That is the legacy of the PNM and the UNC in this country. Because I want to say this to the people who telling me, Philip, UNC only had 10 years. You know what you could do in 10 years? If you had the $500 billion that we spent in this country in the last 10 years, you know what you could do? You could build a whole new island from scratch. Look at our country. Anybody who wants a job should be able to have a job. This is government's responsibility. Philip, how you would do that? I would identify what we want to be as a country. Tourism, Tobago, dedicated. Dedicated to that. Anything else Tobagonians want to do, we will help you. But Tobago, work with them and build them, because all the tourist destinations in the world, their governments support tourism, so that other companies come and exploit it and create jobs, and everybody happy. That's how it's done. Trinidad, we could be industrial. Trinidad, we could be a country that's doing shipping and marine turnaround. Shipping is the #1 growth pole industry in the world and will continue to be for the next 100 years. Because everything that is in this room that I am standing in some shape or form, came here on a ship. Shipping is important to the world. There are shipping ships that when they leave harbor for the first time, never go back until they decommission, and they sail around the world forever. And they stop at shipping ports. I want to talk about Singapore. That's what made Singapore wealthy. Before Dubai found oil, shipping is what made them wealthy. Shipping is important. We should move the port of Port of Spain out of Port of Spain. It serves no purpose there. We have drunken monkeys as government. This prime minister is going to spend $200 million US to upgrade a port that doesn't need to be where it is. 90% of the containers that come off the port drive out of Port of Spain. So why is it in Port of Spain? You have $200 million. You have Point Lisas. Go and triple the size of Point Lisas and make that a port. And sell the land between Hyatt and Movitown. Prime real estate. Trinidad does not have to be like this. Jobs. That is jobs. All of the people who live in Cocorite, you block them from the sea. They used to live between fishing villages from Cocorite to Caranage, and you sell that as prime real estate to people like Bayside and Guardian Life. So now it's big shot housing, La Riviera, La Fontaine, Bayside, and all this nonsense. And 35,000 people who are accustomed to working in the sea, sitting down across the road, don't know what to do with themselves. So they're becoming gangsters. And you're wondering where we're getting gangsters from. We making them. We manufacturing criminals. We take away hope from people. And then when they find other ways to feed themselves, we're wondering, how did that happen? Like it's a big mystery. All of those people who live in Cocorite, Caranage, Point Cumana, those people wanted to be in marine industry. You could give them a marine university. It's not just fishing, but fishing is a massive industry and help to feed us. But besides that, and you build them a fish fry facility, but you didn't give them cold storage for the fish that they're fishing. You're giving with one hand and you're taking back with the other. And you're treating them like fools. But marine industry, shipping turnaround, you could link our agriculture sector to our marine industry, and all those ships that ship in, all them cruise ships could stop here and top up with all the food that they need. Big money. Service the boat, change the bulbs, go in, janitorial service, wiring service, until we get to the point 15, 20, 30 years down the road where we could be building ships here. That's how India did it. India became a call center to the IT industry 30 years ago. That any problem you have, you call somebody for assistance, and somebody in India answer you. Now India have more IT patents than any other country on the planet. My Apple phone and your Samsung coming out of China and India. And 9 of the 10 biggest companies on the planet have an Indian CEO. That's a vision for your people. You bring them out of the slums and you put them as first world. Now Mumbai is the largest middle class on the planet. There are more middle class people in India than there are people in America and Canada combined. That is vision for your people. We need a government that has vision for our people, that gives our people hope and opportunity. Jobs is job one. Anybody have a job, give them a home. Education, all of our education should be prestige education. Shut down all the 1% schools. Create 200 purpose-built schools for the 200,000 children that we have in school. Make them 10-year schools. Stop the nonsense of the SCA that's sending people mad and segregating people. You're born, you go to school from the age of 5 to the age of 15. You and your parents grow with the administrators plus. You grow with your friends from the age of 5 to 15. You make lifelong bonds and build communities. All of these things. If you zone the schools and make all schools prestige schools, half the traffic done. You ever notice when school closed, no traffic? You ever notice that? School causes so much traffic. I was outside southeast Port of Spain, talking to the principal and the PTA people who were having a problem, and they were talking about children who come to their school from Camuto and Sangre Grande. Why are you coming to southeast Port of Spain from Sangre Grande? That is torturing people. Healthcare, public health, 41 accident and emergencies is what Trinidad need, not all these hospitals they're building. 90% of the people who go to the hospital go for having an emergency. So build accident and emergency within the constituency so that the ambulances from those accident and emergency facilities could get to you in 10 minutes and back. And then all of a sudden the things start to make sense on a macro and a micro level. Trinidad could fix. www.21policies.com. When we launched in 2017, we launched with this. All the other parties outside there calling you and telling you, call me on the phone and tell me what you think and what you believe and what you need. We know what these people of this country need. People need leadership. Abraham Lincoln said leadership is taking people where they need to be. Trinidadians need to be in a place where they're safe and they're secure and they can raise their children happily. where the elders could age and not have to worry about people breaking in your house and killing you for your pension. We need to be able to turn on our tap and have water, and not from our tank outside, paying the electricity bill for a pump that you don't need. Because the land under every water tank could be growing a vegetable garden and feeding the house. Trinidad and Tobago should be food self-sufficient in 90,000 acres of land that Carney, Clico own, Petrotrin. We have 30,000 farmers, pay the two. Let them grow, find out what is our consumption data, and tell the people if we eat sweet potato and plantain and yam, grow it here. Whatever we do eat, we could sell and export and generate foreign exchange. But if we grow in the food that we eat, then we will save the foreign exchange that we spend it. But as long as companies like HADCO and AMCO and massive funding, PNM and UNC, that will never happen. And they will talk this talk to you, but I am telling you, Trinidad and Tobago will not change voting people into office who made promises and broke it time and time again. It is time for a real change in Trinidad and Tobago. It is time to vote for people who will fix it. I give you my word. I'm not in politics for me. I don't use the general hospital. I don't use no bus. I can live my life safe and free without ever talking to a politician again. I am only in this because there are people in this country that I love. And I deal with people with compassion. And when I hear people's stories, like the lady who called me last night who wanted to sell her husband's saxophone, she have a cataract and they have nobody in this country who could help her. But we're spending $5 billion a year, every year for the last 30 years on public health so that big shot 1% in Goodwood Park will thief the money. I have no choice but to do this. So I am here to make myself... Thank you. I am here to make myself available to serve you. The conversations, the narrative that we bring up, if this that you just heard here was on CNC3 tomorrow morning, the whole country vibrate. People will say, yes, partner, they have hope. We're not getting that. You could get Gary Griffith on every other station every other morning talking about the merit list. And bringing out David Abdullah, who if it wasn't for OWTU to march with him and make him a political party, you don't have a bright idea in your head yet. These people have had office. What is your success rate? I built a highway and was responsible for 2 laws. I got the homeless in this country, I got them subventions. I got subventions for the orphans in Trinidad and Tobago when the state were putting children through the magistrates' courts in orphanages and wasn't funding them. I got them through the Jericho Project funding 25 and 30 years ago. I am responsible for the handicap parking in Trinidad and Tobago. They still have no law. I am responsible for that. And I have never held public office. It is because of the Jericho Project and work that we did. The Children's Bill became the Children's Law, and there's a Children's Authority protecting children. We are responsible for the Dangerous Dog Act. We want a beverage container bill. We want an antitrust law. We want a proper procurement law in Trinidad and Tobago, not one that would allow the Prime Minister to spend $30,000 for a camera. We need to fix Trinidad and Tobago. You need to vote into office people who will fix it. And I am offering myself to serve alongside all of these good people, who are sacrificing. I want to say a special thank you to Lachman Ramrup and David Welch, who these guys, and especially Mr. Welch, who sometimes he's frustrated me with his focus. He want to make sure. I almost didn't come here 5 times. Give David Welch a round of applause. I think if he didn't know that I was on the way, he was coming for me. I want to tell you that I am surrounded in the Progressive Empowerment Party. When there are people outside, they're telling you that is a one-man party. This is not a one-man party. I have a phone. I have a phone that Satish Ramsaran organized for me 4 years ago. The number is 702-PHIL. You will never hear me advertise that as my number. It's 702-6445. I won't say 702-PHIL because I am not a narcissist. I tell people I drive a van. I don't own brands. I don't wear jewelry. I live well. And I live well without having to flam and show people what I am or who I have. What I'm here to do is make myself available. My father, who we just buried, told me, to whom much is given, much is expected. That is why That is why my brother, Dr. Paul Elias Alexander, is one of the foremost authorities in the world that held back people who was going to vaccinate your children. My brother, those of you who don't know, and he will be here on the 19th of November at Bamboo Number 1, and he'll be speaking to you in person. I have 2 sisters. I have a mother. I had a 3rd sister, God rest her soul. Every one of us involved in some sort of activism on a local, regional, or international level because of our parents and how they raised us. And that's the Trinidad that I know. And that's the Trinidad I would like to contribute to again. To a place where people believe that all of us, every creed and race, red, white, black, green, and every shade in between, deserve to be here. We deserve to be treated with dignity and respect. We all deserve to have the same benefits, regardless of who we are, regardless of race, color, creed, class, gender, who we pray into, who we lie down with at night. The Progressive Empowerment Party is the change this country needs. And I would like very much to be the person that breaks the contract mafia that ruined this country. That's the job I want. I'm not vague. And I will continue calling Gary Siabatabanka. I will call his name every night now. You're the political leader of a political party, but you're applying to be commissioner of police. You're bipolar. Pick a walk. Pick a struggle. Come and serve. Come down on the ground. And I hope if you get neither, I hope when the NTA fail and they blank you for commissioner, I hope you're still outside there helping people. Because if you're not, don't dare put my name in your mouth again. Trinidad and Tobago deserve much better than political pretenders. The PNM and the UNC have had their chance. It is time for something new, something bright, something strong, something capable. The Progressive Empowerment Party is that. Thank you very, very much.
One people under one flag.